Welcome to Bears on Tap, hosted by Quinten Krzysko, Samir Patel, Sunny Verma, and the one and only Ron Luce. Bringing you all the news, analysis, and opinions on the charter franchise, Chicago Bears.
And welcome back to another episode, the first off-season episode of Bears on Tap. My name is Quinten Krzysko. I am joined by Samir Patel, who is sporting the lovely, the handsome On Tap Sportsnet shirt. Very good stuff. I didn't notice that in our pre-show. Great stuff to see. Samir, how are you doing this evening?
Just repping. I'm doing great. Doing great. I think the disappointment of the Bears loss took a couple days, but I'm on the other side of it now. Awesome season, really excited about what they're building, ready to dive into kind of the off-season program that you talked about here. So doing great. Our Bulls are also making moves, so I'm trying to stay on top of that as well. Happy to be here.
Yeah, not to get too sidetracked on basketball, because this is a football Bears podcast, but like I had a buddy from high school texting me earlier today about the Bulls stuff, about like what the Bulls were doing, and it's kind of like, I was like, I've been so checked out on them for years now. It's like I was talking to him. I was like, I don't think I've watched a game since Chris Dunn was a Bull. Like, that's how much Jerry Reinsdorf has ruined it for me. So like, it's tough.
He's not a good owner, and I think it's hard too, right? Because you have to pay $20 a month if you want to watch them. So it's I can see a lot of people being turned off to that because of that reason. I actually had CHSN to start the season because they started well, and then I canceled it maybe like two weeks ago. But who knows? Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah. But back to the Bears. Today, we're giving out some awards. So we are looking at the top play of the season, the best moment for the Bears this year, the best individual drive of the season, and then giving an offensive player of the year, a defensive player of the year, and an MVP. And then at the end of the show, we're going to talk about some of the coaching carousel stuff that's going on with the Bears right now, some of the comp pick conversation about, what was happening with the Ian Cunningham stuff. And then we're going to talk through pretty briefly our upcoming podcast schedule, what the offseason is going to look like for us. But Samir, you ready to jump into this?
Let's do it.
All right. So our first category here is top play of the 2025 Chicago Bears season. And I wrote down some candidates here as I was like doing some research for this, and I kind of want to go through a handful of them of the options, right? And if you're in the comments and you hear any that, and you don't hear one that you think needs to be, throw it in there. But so the first one that came to mind for me was in chronological order. I wrote these out. Against Cincinnati, Colson Loveland's 58-yard touchdown, 25 seconds left in the fourth quarter, trailing by 1 point. Perfect layered throw over the middle of the field, right over the linebackers. Colson Loveland catches it at the third level, so at where the safeties are, breaks the safety's tackle, and then scampers like 30-plus yards to the end zone for what was essentially the game winners. I think there were only like 10 seconds left on the clock. So I thought that had to be a candidate here. Week 16 has two of them. The first one, this was the game at Soldier Field against Green Bay in the regular season. It's 4th and 4 from the Green Bay 6-yard line. 28 seconds left, trailing by 7 points. Caleb's under immediate pressure, flushed out to his right. Packers were sending an all-out blitz here. So there was no way to pick up. It was like, you have the pressure, you got to find your guy. Off his back foot, trailing away to his right. Under that pressure, tosses it up to Jahdae Walker. Game-tying touchdown. Bears go to overtime with the Packers. So I thought that one was a must-have in here because that was such an electric moment this season.
Yeah, great stuff, Q. I totally agree with those. And I was looking at it a couple different ways. There's top plays of like what they actually meant in that, situation. And then there's like degree of difficulty. So I think you could throw the Cleveland Browns throw in there as well.
It's a great one. The DJ Moore touchdown.
Yeah, the fadeaway, out of bounds, DJ Moore touchdown, I thought was one of the biggest, most difficult throws and catches, of the season. And the other one that came to mind, and this one is kind of an underrated one, was the dart he had to Olamide Zaccheaus in the Commanders game. That was a diving catch. I thought was just an unbelievable play. But yeah, it just like the wow factors there. And then did you come up with any that were non-Caleb related, just out of curiosity?
No, I didn't. I tweeted something out a few weeks ago of like Caleb Williams 2025 highlight tape is going to hit like Tavon Austin at West Virginia. And I 100% believe that. Like I'm going to have a really hard time not going with a Caleb play. But moving on, I had a few more here. Another week 6 against Green Bay one has to be the game winning touchdown in overtime to DJ. 46-yard bomb. Contested catch, ball was right on the money, exactly where it needs to be for DJ to be able to make a play, but the corner can't. Honestly, like that was a Caleb play, but that's also a DJ play because that was a tough catch. A lot of Green Bay
PI'd during that play.
Still brought it down. In the playoffs against Green Bay again, fourth quarter, 4th and 8. Caleb scrambling to his left, defender grabbing his feet as he releases the football. Dropping it in the bucket for Rome Odunze about 25 yards downfield. That one, from the difficulty standpoint, that's up there with anything. Yeah. Because he didn't have his feet on that throw. That was all arm. And it was on the money, perfect. 4th and 8. Like, it's hard to – I have a hard time getting past that one from a difficulty standpoint. And then the last two I have here was, obviously, this one's more Ben Johnson than anything, to be honest. But – playoff game winner against Green Bay.
Yep.
The wheel route to DJ, calling it off the same look as a quick screen to Burden that hit earlier in the game. Just from a play call standpoint, I thought that needed to be included here. And the last one is just, I mean, this is my winner. For like to be clear. This is my winner for this topic. End of regulation against the Rams on 4th down in the red zone. Caleb throws a game-tying touchdown pass to Cole Kmet from 27 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
It's ridiculous.
Longest red zone touchdown of all time for air yards. Like since it's been started being recorded. That was the most I don't feel like in the post game we gave that enough credit, or like I feel like I wasn't excited enough about it because the Bears had just lost, right? But like, it's the most insane play I've ever seen. Like, that was the most batshit out there, like, what the hell is happening moment I've ever seen in a football game of just, like, that doesn't happen. When he tossed that up, I was like, game over. Like, I was like, it's done. Like, it's just a Hail Mary, whatever. There's going to be, like, 5 guys over there. And you see Cole Kmet with one-on-ones, like, like,
oh, God,
I've never seen anything like that play happen, and that has to be the winner for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was a one of a kind play. And if we're talking about top plays, it's the most impressive, most ridiculous, in the biggest moment, deepest into the season that you could have, right? So it checks a lot of boxes. One of the ones that I went with is a pretty run-of-the-mill play. We've seen it a couple times. It's not common, I would say, in an NFL game, but it's not unheard of. However, I do think it set the tone for what this Bears team was for the rest of the season. And that was Josh Blackwell's field goal block against the Raiders. I think that's when the Cardiac Bears were born, and they adopted that sort of mantra for the rest of the season. And it became kind of this, don't count this team out, because they'll make some ridiculous plays at the end of the game. It kind of turned that into their mantra. And so I feel like that was almost like a tone setting play for how that season was going to unfold. So I wanted to shout that out too, as kind of an off the cuff answer.
Yeah. So is that what you're going with then?
No, I just wanted to call it out. Yeah.
I wanted to call it out. Great choice, because like you said, that they carried that throughout the season, that we will never die mentality became a calling card for this team.
Yep. And for me, I'm going to go with the overtime throw to DJ against the Packers in the regular season, because for me, that exercised some demons. It gave the Bears a leg up on the division. So it was important from a standings standpoint. It was a great play. It was an awesome throw, and they beat the Packers. And they had this come from behind win. It was an all encapsulating moment for me. So I think that was probably my top play.
I like that, and that's, I'll get to a bit more on that later, I think, but like that one is definitely, as I mentioned, it was on my list. It's up there for me for top 5 plays of the year, however it might be. Now, Samir, our next category is the best moment. And I'm curious, how did you look at this? How did you define the moment versus the play versus the game? How did you picture this?
So that's a good question, because when we were first talking about these, I was like, oh, some of these might be a little redundant. But when I thought about the moment, I just tried to take a step back and say, what was the moment when I think of the 2025 Bears season? What's the moment that pops into my head? And it wasn't on the football field for me. The moment that sticks into my head is, and I think you might go with this too, is the good, better, best post-game speeches. And particularly the one after the Eagles game with his shirt coming off and getting the hot dogs and screaming good, better, best. That to me was like a top moment, because I think up until that point, the Bears had been criticized as a team that had a kind of a softer schedule, hadn't really played anybody yet. They played a good team on the road in Detroit and got housed. They played another decent team on the road in Baltimore and lost. And it's like, okay, the Eagles are a legit team. And a lot of people were like, yeah, the Bears are probably going to lose. The line's like 6.5. I think during our pregame show, I think me and Ron were like, there's no way they're going to lose this game. We were like riding high going into it. And they won, and they won in a way that didn't leave any doubts, at least in my mind, of like, wow, this team is tough. They're here to stay. This is like legit. And then that post-game locker room, I soaked it all in. I was enjoying every bit of it. So for me, that was like a top moment, that post-game locker room with the shirt off and the good, better, best vibes.
I hadn't considered good, better, best for this, but I think you're 100% right on it though. I'm not going to change mine, but the good, better, best after the Raiders game, the first time, I spent so much time writing it down in my phone as it was playing, go back, rewind it again to make sure I got it right. Oh, what was this word? I missed that. So I could talk about it in the post game. That was an electrifying moment when good, better, best first hit, the first one. You're like, oh, what is this? What is this? Okay, Ben Johnson, you're not just some nerd like everyone said you were. Okay, I see this. That's nice. I like that answer. For me, I had 2, and mine were the first one is just very cliche. It's just clinching the NFC North title.
Yeah, absolutely.
That week leading up to, or I guess the day leading up to, I think they clinched it the day before that, on Sunday, and they played Monday night. That Monday was just such an easy feeling. It was just, as a fan, it was just we got it. Whatever happens tonight, it's fine. We got it, But for me, the moment that defines this season to me is after beating the Packers on Thursday Night Football, Caleb Williams, on the Amazon broadcast, Caleb Williams up there grating the cheese. That's the moment. That will define this season for me. I will never get that out of my head. The cheese grater hats are great, but the sitting there, he grated a third of a block of cheese in 10 seconds. That's generational.
That's generational cheese grating.
That was the moment. That was the moment that will live with me forever. And just in that game, and this kind of ties in with the moment where I thought of it as more a full day, but when they were starting the comeback in that game, I have never seen a Packer sideline with the looks on their faces like they had. They were scared. They were concerned. They were worried because they knew what that man could do. And as Bears fans, we have never seen that, and I will never forget that.
It felt like us watching Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
When you're 100%. Just we can't stop this guy, and he's gonna rip our hearts out.
He can't actually do it again, can he? To me, it was more the look in their face of just he can't do this again, right? Right? That's not possible. And then he did, and just, oh man, My wife was laughing at me through the whole like fourth quarter of that game. She's like, "Be happy." I'm just sitting there like locked in.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look away.
Good.
You just never know when something crazy is going to happen. That was like the microcosm of the 2025 season is like, you just have to watch all 60 minutes.
Yeah. Now, Samir, for best drive, where was your head on this one? What one did you come up with and where did you land?
Yeah, this one was interesting. This one doesn't plays stand out, moments stand out. Drives are, the plays and the moments are culminations of long drives or drives that were had. And so I had to go back and do some perusing on, what I thought was an impressive, series of plays or moments in the game and figured out which drives they kind of came from. So obviously the first one I thought of immediately was the 19-play drive against Dallas, which was like crazy long. I mean, it didn't have a lot of significance. I know that it was led to their first win of the season, which is great. Very important milestone, but I didn't land on that one. I landed on the one that, was our top play and top moment, right? Was that Bears-Packers playoff game. What is it? 6 plays, 66 yards, starting at the 34-yard line. It's got to have it drive, right? There's 3 minutes left in a playoff game. You're trailing. You've been trailing the entire game, and you hit on a Caleb and DJ touchdown. We found out was all set up by Ben Johnson running these screens to Burden and baiting those DBs to come up. I thought that was the drive of the season. Honorable mention I did have here was the Black Friday game with the Bears Eagles, where I think there was one where they had 12 plays and 87 yards. And most of them were just runs. And then you could feel that stamp that Ben Johnson was putting on these guys that like, oh yeah, he's going to out physical you and he's going to ground and pound. And it just felt like, yeah, we're here and we're for real. So I had those three kind of highlighted and I landed on the Packers playoff game.
Yeah. And I'm sorry, what was the second one in there?
So there was the Cowboys, the 19 play drive against the Cowboys, the Packers playoff game, and the last one was the Bears Eagles Black Friday game where they went 12 plays, 87 yards, and just ran all over their throats.
So that one was my second. That was my number 2, where it was 10-9. It was 10-9 in the third quarter. Like, this is anyone's game, and they burn off almost 7 minutes of clock, 12 plays, like you said, 87 yards to take a touchdown. That the game felt over after that. Like it wasn't, but like it felt like the Eagles defense could not recover at this point. They've been through like this game has been hell on them. So that one was my runner up, but best drive. And this one, like which Packers one did you choose? It was playoffs, right? Which
playoff one where they took the lead?
Took the lead.
Yeah.
I'm going with the one before that.
Okay.
Against the Packers in the playoffs, trailing 27-16. The Bears drive 76 yards for a touchdown to Olamide Zaccheaus, convert for 2 points, and cut the deficit to 3.
Yeah.
4 minutes left. And this is the moment that I was talking about where they panned to the Packers sideline and they were just all like, their eyes were dead. They looked like they were just like, it can't happen again.
It's a great call.
And it did. But Bears didn't run the ball once on that drive. Caleb was only 50% of that drive. He was 5 for 10. 81 yards. 81 yards on a 76-yard drive. How does that make sense? They had a false start on 4th and 3 to push it back to 4th and 8. Yeah. And that's the insane throw to Rome, where Caleb didn't have his feet. Like this drive was, to me, like it was the most aching, painful drive to ever watch for me. Great but call. It was also like incredible and something that it defines this season for me in a lot of ways. That a lot of that game obviously does based on my answers here, but that one to me, it was like that was the gutsy drive of that game, because it was like, it's not garbage time. There's still 4 minutes left after you scored.
It's true.
The Packers are going all out to stop you here, to keep you from getting back in the game. And they took every punch and said, we're still getting 8, not 7, 8. But let's
call.
move it. Let's move it on to our next category here, and that's offensive player of the year. So my MVP is an offensive guy, and we'll get to MVP last in this. So like I'm choosing a different guy for offensive player of the year. Like pointedly, I'm not choosing the same as the MVP.
Same. I've got two different choices as well. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first this time?
It's all you, Samir.
All right. Well, I think it's pretty easy, at least for me. I mean, it's 18 for offensive player of the year. The Iceman. I mean, what a season! Cut his sacks 68 to 24. His EPA per dropback. I mean, I didn't realize this. He went from 28 to 14. So, I mean,
it's
really,
you got to make sure you're
really
saying per drop back, because like there's his EPA per designed rush was really bad. His EPA on like there were a few fumbled snaps and stuff that were bad, and then like QB sneaks were bad. So like it's a big difference there between like EPA per player, EPA per drop back.
Per drop back. Yeah. The drop back numbers were staggering, so I went with those 28 to 14.
And if you're sitting here that worried about the quarterback with a few fumbled snaps or poor QB sneaks, I don't know what to tell you. That's not what I'm worried about, the quarterback position.
Right. Even his TD interception ratio improved, right? 3.3 to 3.8. And honestly, besides all of that, I felt like he took on the persona of his coach a little bit as the season went along. You know, the podium. I think, was it Brendan that mentioned this a couple weeks ago? That podium game really started to improve. You can sense the maturity, the ownership, just the calmness. I think he took that leap that he kind of needed to. The body language got cleaned up. So I think I'm going to go with him for offensive player of the year.
I'm surprised it's not your MVP. So I'm curious to see who you go with.
Yeah.
There. But
okay.
For my offensive player of the year, I got to follow my heart here. I got to follow the most decorated player on the team. And that's Mr. Joe Thuney.
Oh yeah, I know you're going
offensive player of the year. I mean, it's I preached all offseason, or before they got him. I can't say all offseason because they did get him at a certain point pretty early, so I didn't keep preaching this. But going into last offseason, I was preaching the Bears need a knowledgeable, decorated, highly paid veteran on this offensive line, take leadership of this offensive line room, and show these guys what winning football takes. Because your leader of that room. It can't be, excuse me. It can't be Darnell Wright on a rookie contract. It can't be Braxton Jones making $800,000 a year, and it sure as heck can't be like a Tim Patrick making $4 million a year. It needs to be someone who actually commands respect of the room. Of when they start talking, everyone better shut the hell up because that guy matters. That's Joe Thuney. They got that guy, and on top of adding Dahlman, adding Jackson, all huge, but like. The way this room came together, the way that they started working together, I have to think that so much that had to do with the off-field effort, and to me that starts with Joe Thuney, because every place he's gone he wins. Every place he goes, the offensive line seems to just figure it out no matter what, hell or high water. They figure it out, and Joe Thuney had a massive effect on this offensive line this year, which the Bears were a running football team most of the year. Offensive line was a huge part of their offensive success, and that can't get overlooked. Joe Thuney's my offensive player of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I figured that was the direction you were probably going to go in. I did. You know what? I'll save it. We'll just keep going.
All right. Defensive player of the year. What do you got, Samir?
I went with Kevin Byard for a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned with Joe Thuney. He's a culture setter. You know, he's a veteran, comes in, does things the right way. He finished the season with the most picks, right? 7 picks. I think he stabilized a lot of that side. He was a consistent presence as well. There was a lot of people that were in and out of the lineup. I don't think he missed a game, if I remember correctly. So I don't know. I think he's just had a great season, great veteran leadership. I'm going to go with Kevin Byard.
I think that's a good pick. And that's truly that is the right answer in my mind.
Right.
But because you went there, I had some backups here. And my first backup, which I'm not going to go with because I don't think you actually can go with a guy who only started 4 games. But
made an impact.
DeMarco Jackson deserves his flowers, man. He came in here and had a great season for the Bears whenever he was on the field. He came in, he took over the green dot responsibilities of calling the defense like that, like nothing. And he proved to be a very strong fit in Dennis Allen's defense. I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's back next year as either linebacker 2 or linebacker 3. But ultimately, I don't think you can go with a guy who played that few snaps. So I've got to go Montez Sweat. And there were some highs and lows to Sweat's season. There were some, people hate on him some because he probably doesn't produce like he's paid, but he's still probably the best overall defensive player on this roster. Byard had a great season. Byard's also 32, 33. Like I'm not like Sweat is in his prime right now, and he's playing good football, and he is the most consistent presence on your defense, in my opinion. Now, I think that does speak to some of the stuff they need to do on defense this offseason, but I can't take that away from him, though. He had a good year, and he played very well. He did a lot of unheralded things in this defense, I think, that he doesn't get credit for, because, like, in this defense, Dennis Allen wants to play very light, right? He wants to play light. He wants to play a lot of nickel and a ton of nickel and more dime than a lot of teams. You can only do that if your defensive ends play the run. You can't effectively do that if your ends cannot two gap out or gap and a half on occasion. If they cannot hold up the line of scrimmage, it's one of the reasons why, like, Dio gets a lot of hate. Dio probably deserves some hate for that contract. But you know what? Dio allowed them to play a lot of dime because he can hold the point against the run very, very well. Like that, there's a reason why they paid him what he did that kind of goes unheralded. And I think Montez Sweat he does a lot of dirty work for you that goes unheralded as well. So, like, that's my pick for DPOY.
No, that's good. And I wanted to give another player a shout out. And I wanted to see who you went with first before I did this. Is Nahshon Wright? I know he's got his, issues, but that dude wasn't even supposed to start on this team. And he filled it a huge hole, showed up in some way week after week. And those turnovers, right? We can't get away from that. They came at clutch moments. The Hurts fumble, the Josh Jacobs one, and when it looked like they were going to score. The Commanders game when he fell on that ball when they were also driving to put the game away. They came at these clutch moments that they wouldn't be where they were in the season if it were not for Nahshon Wright. So I want to give him his flowers, even though I don't think he's a serious contender for DPOY. But
it's a great call out because you're 100% right. Nahshon Wright was a big part of why this defense is what they were able to be this year. It doesn't mean that I want him to necessarily be the starter next year. But I can respect it that he put together a hell of a year for a guy who was not even really supposed to make the roster coming into camp. Yeah. So kudos to him, give him his flowers, and I hope he gets a nice fat contract from someone this offseason.
Same.
All right. Now, Samir, you got me anxiously waiting here. Who's your MVP?
Well, I cheated, so you're going to roll your eyes a little bit. I actually wrote down Joe Thuney. I did. As kind of like let me tease this because I know Q will get excited. Do I think he's the most valuable player? I mean, that's a big statement, but like for all the reasons that you said, right? He flipped around a terrible unit to an excellent unit. And that's not just him, but like, I don't know. It's not a coincidence. Like you said, that wherever he goes, the offensive line is just good. So that culture, that tone shift, I think he did so much stuff for them. It needs to be said. And I'm glad you picked him as your offensive player of the year. But I'm going to cheat, and I'm going to go with Ben Johnson. I know he's not a player, but see, I figured that was going to be it. I did cheat. But you know what? He totally changed the culture of the team. He was the most valuable person. I chose P for person on the Bears this year. So it works. I mean, I saw this stat that said the 2025 Bears scored 16 points in every single game, including the playoffs. Last time this team did that was the 1985 Chicago Bears. So he basically turned this thing around in one season. He was part of my top moment. I just think that dude makes everything go. And I'm not even sweating some of the changes that we'll get into here because we still have that guy with us. So my most valuable person, I'm going to go with Ben Johnson.
Hey, I think that's a great pick. Like, clearly the guy did a hell of a job flipping around this culture. It's on him to continue that into year 2. I don't have doubts that he will. But I don't think that was a small task by any means. I think the Bears culture was very, very ugly the last few years and was really in a bad place, probably worse than he realized when he took the job. And it takes real work to flip that around, real authentic work, and trust. You need to build trust with those people. Like, you have a bad manager who has a bad manager at work who might have a bad manager. Like, how do you feel going to work every day? How do you like? It's really hard for you to actually make a change if management changes, as opposed to just continuing on the path that you've been on. So for them to take that inertia and flip it around as quickly as they did, that means a lot to me, and I'm very excited to see where it goes from here. But for my MVP, I'm going with 18. It's Caleb.
Yep.
I mean, it's. I could get the argument like through the first 3 quarters of the year, if you could say someone else, because there was still a lot of ups and downs and bumps, but like the way this guy finished the year and into the playoffs, like, it's hard for me to go anywhere else. Like, the way that he was carrying a lot of that offense in the playoffs, especially against the Rams when, they really couldn't run to the left at all. So they had to only run right. That becomes predictable. Your run game isn't working. Well, Caleb, can you put on the cape? Like, that's how that game went in my mind. And like I said earlier, against the Packers, they didn't run once on that second to last drive.
Yeah.
They couldn't run the football. They didn't have time. It was all on Caleb's shoulders. So, to me, that's MVP. Our MVP award includes playoffs, and it's Caleb Williams for me.
Beautiful choice. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some of the talk about the Bears coaching carousel right now.
Yep.
There's not a lot. Eric Bieniemy went back to KC. It sucks because I do think that he did some really good stuff with DeAndre Swift this year and with Kyle Monangai. But I also just trust Ben to fill that well. He hasn't filled it yet, has he?
No.
Okay. I trust that. Basically, I trust that coaches around the league see what the Bears are doing right now, and their interest, like, they just saw Declan Doyle get an offense coordinator position at 29 years old. Like, that brings some of the brightest minds to your doorstep when you start doing that stuff. So, to me, I don't think they'll have issues filling this spot. But what are your thoughts on it, Samir?
No, I agree. And I touched on in the segment before here with Ben Johnson, he gives me some confidence that some of these departures they'll have answers for. Obviously, Bieniemy, I think we'll be okay with that one. It's, as a position coach, I think they'll be able to find somebody. Offensive coordinator, I'm not 100% sure how much Declan really impacted what was going on day to day. And we know that Ben calls the plays. I think Declan is kind of like a player's coach a little bit, gets with the guys, kind of breaks down film with them a little bit, maybe gives them some of that tutelage. They're already interviewing, I think, a gentleman, Connor, I forgot what his last name is, from Arizona.
Connor Senger.
Yeah, who seems to maybe be fitting that Declan Doyle mold. So it seems like they've already got that young, bright mind pegged from that. So I think those two, I think the Bears will be okay. And I'm happy for Declan Doyle and all that with the coaching search. They also did bring in Will Lawing, and I'm not really sure what his role is. I'm not even sure what the contract looks like or if there is one, but he came from BC, I think. Yeah. And he's joining the Bears staff, or was set to in some capacity. So he primarily worked with tight ends at BC, which obviously I don't know if there's a huge need for that position, especially because Ben Johnson coached tight ends as well. So interested to see where he kind of lands on the offensive staff.
And also he was a wide receiver in North Carolina when Ben Johnson was quarterback there. So there's a very close connection between those two. And I mean, it's last year at BC, he was offensive coordinator and tight ends coach. So he was in a fairly prominent role there. So it's interesting to see. I'm going to be interested to see what his role is here, because he gave up some decent money if he was OC and tight ends coach at BC. That'll be interesting to see. But from the Connor Sanger aspect, I've heard good things about him, just like briefly since it came out earlier today. That he's an exciting name. He's a riser. He's been promoted like every year in Arizona that he's been there. So that's interesting. That's exciting. But ultimately, I'm not that concerned about it. It's nice to not be concerned about it because like guys are gonna want to be here with Ben Johnson. Like he is a magnet to bright minds right now. He should be, at least, and I think he will be. Now, I do think that I do think that being Ben Johnson's offensive coordinator is a difficult job. I think that he works them to death. Not any more than like other NFL jobs. Like I think that he has them grinding a lot of tape. But
he's very intense.
It clearly paid off for Declan Doyle, though. So like I think that it's going to be this could be a common occurrance for the Bears if everything goes right going forward.
Yeah, he does on coaching tree very soon. I mean, he kind of already does if Declan got another job. And Declan had his choice of jobs, right? I mean, he was in the running for Eagles offensive coordinator before he withdrew from that. And he can be picky. So it's like, wow, 29-year-old OC can be picky for his next job. It's pretty cool. I mean, some would say it's a lateral move, but it's not if you get to call plays, right? And so
right. There's a distinction between play calling and non-play calling. Like, but moving on to our next topic here. It's about the comp picks. Ian Cunningham obviously got hired to be the GM of the Atlanta Falcons, but the way the NFL structures this is because of last offseason, something with the Titans, they changed this rule so that every NFL team needs to designate a number 1 football person and a number 2 football person. And the number 1 football person is the one who gets comp picks, or who can draw comp picks under the criteria if it fits all the justifications. Now, Ian Cunningham is the number 2. The Falcons designated Matt Ryan as their top football person, not Ian Cunningham. So that's why they're not getting them. Do I think it's BS? Absolutely. Do I think the Bears should raise hell over it? 100% with the league office. But at the end of the day, I don't think they're going to get any comp picks by raising hell. I think that their best hope is that they can impact the rule going forward to try to fix the gap here, because there is something that feels like it's against the heart of the Rooney Rule within this to me. Because it is a promotion for Ian Cunningham. He is the GM. Matt Ryan's never run a draft. He's never gone through free agency from the front office side. He's never been involved in a trade. He's not running their front office in that way. So to me, like there needs to be something that gets adjusted here. I'm not sure how they fix it, but like something is wrong. But what are your thoughts?
Yeah. And I thought I heard Greg Gabriel tweet out the other day, like, hey, this is all hearsay until the contract is finalized and we know what's in the contract. Nobody can say either way. So, I mean, I don't know if that's happened. It feels like it should have happened by now. But couldn't teams game the system and just like say, hey, we don't want our competitors to get extra draft picks or whatever, so we'll just put this nomenclature in here? Like, I guess though, if they did that, then the team can block a lateral move, right? So
I mean, by my understanding, the contract, it really has nothing to do with it. It's who the team's designate as their number 1. Like it's really as simple as that from what I've been explained, that if the team designates someone as their number 1, that's their number 1. And that's how the comp pick.
Isn't that explained in the contract, or is that kind of outside?
No, this is with the league.
They
they file that with the league. So
Okay.
I don't think that has anything to do with the contract, because the title is still GM, like it's still,
curious your thoughts then. If it's a lateral move and Ryan Poles could have blocked it, do you think he should have acted in the best interest of the Chicago Bears? Or do you think he was okay in acting in the best interest of his buddy and his buddies, right? And keeping that relationship in good faith standing sort of situation moving forward. What do you think about that?
I don't think blocking it would have helped anything, frankly. I mean, because it's not a lateral move. And that's what makes this so like frustrating as a Bears fan, because like Ian Cunningham is getting more authority with this move. He's probably getting paid more. I'm sure he's getting paid more. He's getting to go be the GM of the team that he grew up adoring. Like, he's a Falcons fan. He's from Atlanta. Like that, you don't block that. You don't block him getting a promotion, getting a salary bump. That's not the way to attract candidates to your organization.
Yeah.
Because this all does matter, right? If a team is sitting there going, I got an offer from the Lions and the Bears to be a scout, but the Bears just did this. Like, do I really want to do that? Join that? And it completely ignores the impact inside of Hallis Hall. Because Jeff King has been sitting below Cunningham for 2 years waiting for Cunningham to take a job.
That's true. Yeah, you're going to piss off two people.
Getting antsy, sitting there going like, when am I going to get this dang promotion? I've been waiting. If polls blocked this, I have to think that there would be a lot of frustration within Hallis Hall, because then you got to realize the guy below Jeff King is thinking the same thing. The guy, like, there is a effect here that impacts the whole organization. That is time. Like, it was time. Yeah. I think we were oversold on the candidate that Ian Cunningham is, to be honest. And that it became this, we're going to have those comp picks in the bag. Like, and then when we didn't get them, a lot of fans, I think, got really shocked because they've been sold this bag of goods about Ian Cunningham. Like, if he was that outstanding of a candidate and this isn't to say that he's not, but like,
yeah, he's been through a couple years of interview cycles.
He's had some interviews. He's had some, like, it took time. The guy wasn't just like ready to become a GM like he was sold as to a lot of Bears fans, which is probably more on a lot of blogs out there and a lot of content creators who like to sensationalize everything, because it never really deserved that type of sensationalization in my mind.
Yeah.
And then it ends up taking away from this guy getting his dream job, and a great thing that's happening for the Bears, where they are promoting guys in this league into high places, where also, it's great to have friends across the league. It's great for Ryan Poles, if he has a trade offer for the Falcons, to have a buddy in that front office who's running things that he can really talk to, that he can see eye to eye with, that he can read if he's BSing him, and that he can like trust in certain ways, in certain aspects, that he's not getting the runaround. Like, that stuff matters too. So that it all is good, even though they didn't get the comp picks. So you don't block it, in my mind.
Yeah, that's well said. Maybe he's got a under the table deal for Bijan cooking or something. He's like, hey, I'll send you there. And he sends something back my way. Does that mean Ryan? Sure. What happened to Ryan Pace? Is he still there?
I think he's still there.
All right.
If he wants to come to the Bears, we'll take his D-line drafting.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
He was really good at drafting D-line or defense in general. He was awesome at drafting defense. We could use some of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he's still VP of football operations there. I think he's probably like number 3 right now there. Ryan Pace is a hell of a scout.
Yeah.
There was never any question about that.
He just didn't care about cap or draft capital or,
Well, so the draft capital is like, that's fair. He comes from New Orleans. You can kind of
just keep kicking the can down the road.
But with the cap, like, also, I mean, if you look at New Orleans, you can say the same thing. But to me, it was all a result of missing on Trubisky.
Yeah, it was.
Because it was the second he knew that Trubisky wasn't it, he goes into job-saving mode. Of, I need to protect my job here. I need to save my ass. And that's where you start getting the Robert Quinn contracts, where you start trading draft picks to go up and get guys. And, like, it's... If Trubisky had been the right pick, the Khalil Mack trade would have looked sick. It would have looked outstanding. Yeah. It looked awesome without it, but like it would have been kick ass if they got if they picked a quarterback there. I'm not gonna say Mahomes, but like someone who could at least be a serviceable starter for you long term. Yeah. Like, so to me, that was always the problem with it. He messed that pick up so bad that it cost him his job, and it was delayed as long as it could, but that still cost him his job.
Yeah, that's fair.
But so let's talk a little bit about what our podcast schedule is going to look like for the off season here. And
let's do it.
Let me see. Get the spreadsheet pulled up. So next Thursday, we will be talking with Jacob Infante about draft prospects. So don't miss that. I believe it's 8 p.m. Central Time on Thursday. We'll be us and the Jakester. We'll be talking through draft prospects. I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut because I've watched too many prospects already. So like, I'm just going to chime in with things that no one needs to care about. So I'm going to try to keep it to just questions on that. But Jake, with Windy City Gridiron, best Bears draft guy out there. Like he's the king of Bears Twitter. But anyways, from there in 2 weeks, we're going to be doing the off-season preview, where we're going to have the spreadsheet that I put together every year and publish out for people to use. We're going to have that. We're going to go through a mock off-season. And then after that, we're going to do a spin the wheel of potential off-season moves and our instant gut reactions to them if they were to happen. So we're going to have a wheel of fortune wheel up on the screen with an option might be like sign Trey Hendrickson. An option might be trade a first and a third for Max Crosby. An option might be,
trade DJ.
Sign Travis Etienne to a 2-year fully guaranteed at $20 million a year contract. Like, they can't all be daisies and beautiful. Like,
can't all be bangers. Yeah.
Or I don't know, like or Bears draft Ty Simpson in the second round. Like,
oh man.
I'm just trying to think of ones that'll be controversial, but so we'll have some things like that on the Wheel of Fortune wheel, and we'll spin it and then give our instant gut reactions of what's coming up. And then from there, all of March, we'll be building the board. So we'll be bringing you 2 episodes a week. Each episode will be one position. So like we'll have an offensive line episode, a wide receiver episode, tight end episode, a D tackle episode, an edge rusher episode, and so on and so forth until the draft. Like, so we'll be doing that all of March and into early April as well. And then by the end of April, we're at the NFL drafts. We'll be doing our live draft show, draft reactions, and then we have other stuff planned from there, but I feel like that's as deep as we need to get for now. But yeah, Samir,
it's great. Can't wait.
Any final thoughts you want to throw out there before we close this thing out?
No, just it was fun going down memory lane on the 2025 season. Gosh, I feel like we could talk about that for a couple episodes, but really excited about 2026, and it's going to be a fun offseason. Like I said, it's great to not have to stress about who the offensive coordinator is going to be, who the coach is going to be. It's like, I think we're set, and it's great.
Yeah, and the last time the Bears had a season we're talking about, it took them 6 years to produce another. So let's hope and pray that that's not the case again. I don't think it is, but I didn't last time either, so who knows? But one thing I do want to say is that in 2018, the Bears lost their only playoff game in a heartbreaking fashion that utterly broke a lot of people. Like a kicker, a head coach, and many in a fan base. I am thankful that the Bears won a playoff game here, and 2, didn't lose in a manner that creates an easy scapegoat. They lost, in my opinion, in a manner that says this roster wasn't ready. Whereas in 2018, it was felt like this roster was dang well ready, and that guy over there, he messed it up. It's nice to go into the offseason having a realistic expectation of what needs to be fixed. And in 2018, I'm not sure they had that. So it's something I'm thankful for this year.
That's a good point. You heard the head coach say it, right? We're back to square one.
Yeah.
Back to square one. So that's refreshing too.
Yeah. All right, Samir, why don't we give a good old fashioned bear down and we will get out of here.
Bear down.
Bear down, guys.